Hello. This short video is going to be about what's going to take place between now and the rapture. The rapture, of course, being the Feast of Trumpets rapture. And I want to discuss some of the things to be looking for, some of the things that I look at when we see how close we are to the rapture occurring. Now, as I previously taught in my series, The Case for a Feast of Trumpets Rapture, I believe we are in that final generation. In fact, we're in the final part of that generation. A lot of people would point to Matthew 24 and try to use those things there. And that's pretty common. I mean, it's obvious that there's wars and rumors of wars, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. You know, we're familiar with the list. But the one thing out of that I really want to focus on is the wars and rumors of wars. Now, Israel is the main focus. The Bible says that Jerusalem would be a cup of trembling unto all nations. It would be a very burdensome stone. That's over in Zechariah. But one of the things to look for, and it's not going to happen until right after the rapture, but it's going to run parallel with some of the other things that we see, and that is the Gog-Magog alliance with Russia, Turkey, Iran, part of the African nations as well. So we're going to see the continued expansion of Russia and its empire. Russia's already courting Turkey, making a deal with them about their gas pipeline. So apparently, so Russia's economy doesn't go into total meltdown because the EU is actually looking towards Israel and Cyprus to get natural gas. So we're going to be seeing that expansion. I believe we're going to see Russia reclaim territory that expands back to before World War II. Ukraine, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, all these Soviet bloc nations. I don't know that it will include Eastern European nations such as Romania, Czechoslovakia, or Poland, but certainly I think we're going to see Russia expanding. I also have not quite figured out how the Russia and Chinese relationship comes into play. I have not seen that in the Bible. I know some people have talked about it, but I don't really see that type of alliance working for very long. Here's why. The Bible talks about at the end of the 7-year time of Jacob's trouble that the kings of the east would come over the dried up Euphrates River to attack the Antichrist army. But what you're going to see there is all of these armies uniting together when Jesus Christ shows up, and obviously the Lord wipes them all out. So we are going to see the Gog-Magog alliance expanding, the Russian Empire, of course, and of course the intensity increasing of the signs in Matthew 24. But the real thing, like I said, to look for is going to be the Psalm 83 war alliance, this confederacy as the Bible talks about. And you're going to see the uniting of radical Islam. Now, as most of you are aware, ISIS has been growing over there, and I don't know that ISIS will be the one that finally gets everybody together, but I have been reading some articles, keeping up with that, and Muslim Brotherhood was going pretty strong at first, they got trounced in Egypt. Then you got Hamas, Fatah, Hezbollah. All these radical Islamic groups have one thing in common. They all hate Israel. But right now, a lot of them are just busy killing each other off. So something is going to unite them. Be looking for that in the news. Something will unite these people together. I tend to think it's going to have to do with the Temple Mount, which Islam considers is their third most holiest site. Of course, they've desecrated their third holiest site with rioting and killing and all kinds of other things. So that's just a lie. But something is going to unite all these groups together. And also these other groups such as Muslim Brotherhood, Fatah, and particularly Hamas, they're all putting their allegiance behind ISIS. So we're going to see an increase in the unison of radical Islam. And also, we are going to see increased isolation of Israel. I'm having trouble reading with these glasses. So, as time goes by, Israel is going to be more and more isolated up until this war. There's been European Union nations that are attempting to recognize the sovereignty of a Palestinian state, and it seems like Israel can't do anything right in their eyes, and now Israel, during a West Bank uprising, they killed one of the Palestinian Authority's big leaders. So we'll see how that plays out. But one thing I want to caution about with this, there's a lot of sensationalism going on YouTube. Certain people, and I'm not going to mention any names today, but you might know who they are. Every time a bomb drops from an Israeli jet, I mean, these people have got to get on there and just make big news out of it. And the thing of it is, it's not the Psalm 83 war until everybody's in on it. So all those nations that I list in the Psalm 83 war, if just one or two of those nations attacks Israel or fights with Israel, that's not the Psalm 83 war. I know we're getting closer, and you know, people can see that. There is just more and more hatred and evil going on. It's just hard to believe. Now, right after the Psalm 83 war, here's something else we're going to see. We're going to see a real big boon of economic prosperity and a false sense of peace that just seems to break out all over the world. Food could get really cheap, you know, oil maybe even cheaper than it already is, but whatever is going on right now is not really going to be the telltale factor for what's going to take place after the Psalm 83 war. Once again, look to Israel. Israel is going to have this sense of peace that and relief that their enemies right around them have been destroyed. So these are some of the things to be looking for, especially Israel. Israel is the main focus. You know, there's a story that I heard a long time ago, took place during the medieval times in Europe. And one of the nations, I don't know if it was France or one of them, the king asked the nobles of his court, the wise people of his court, he says, "What proof do you have that God even exists?" And one of them said, "The Jew, your majesty." You see, God has a plan for the Jewish people, and he has not turned his back on them. Even though they've turned their back on him, he has not turned his back on the Jewish people. He will come back and rescue them. He will save them. And the Jews that are left in that day at his second coming, just a few days later at the Day of Atonement, they will all stand before Israel. Israel will all stand before him because he is the God of Israel. He's the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob. And all these things are going to be fulfilled. So that's going to do it for this. If anybody has any questions, you can email me at klzacher@gmail.com. And thank you for listening.